OpenPS. Held the Foundational Infrastructure Working Group meeting on 25th of January. On our agenda, we have only the to review the OpenPS. There is nothing else. Then let's go over the PS. So we have a PR about docs, right? Docs for first class. Still waiting for review, so it's in pending review. Okay. There is nothing else we can do. Benjamin already tried to notify Matthias and Brian. The next one is about don't change the system the default from shared. So I saw, Joseph, that you try to reproduce and validate that the fix is working.
Yeah, and then Ramon suggested having the garden team have a look at it, so I gave them a copy of the stem cell, and yesterday they ran their tests with it, which they were like, some of the runs flaked out and some of the runs passed, and I'm like, I don't really know if that's normal, but they felt, confident in it, so I don't think there's anything super breaking in it. Looking at the original commit, the commit's vague as far as what it did, but it links to a tracker story that seems to talk about the Warden stem cell. So I think there's a chance that it breaks running Cloud Foundry on Bosch Lite in some way, shape, or form, but I don't know if anybody still does that.
Benjamin was.
He was running Concourse on Bosch. Oh no, was he running Cloud Foundry on Bosch Lite? Yeah, I don't know. If it is something, if it does break that and people care, we can always add the stage back and only add it to the Warden stem cell. So, and it wouldn't surprise me because the Warden stem cell doesn't run systemd at all. Like, it's completely different in a lot of its stuff.
Yeah,
it's true, but that was not, the commit was not about Warden. It was about the.
It wasn't about Warden,
right?
but if you go to the tracker story about it, it seems to talk only about Warden.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't have access to that tracker story.
I think it's public.
Is it?
I think so.
Let me try to open it. Is it?
Yeah, when it says pivotal tracker, I normally don't click on it.
Most of the open source pivotal tracker URLs in there, or most of the URLs in there on open source stuff, linked to public projects.
I don't see anything.
You gotta give him it. It's not. There's a lot of data on a lot of these old projects.
It appears that Bosch Warden spread is also.
Okay. So yeah, I'd only mentioned Warden. Okay, then just go.
Okay, we have 2 reviews, so we can merge.
Yeah, I mean, like, I looked at it, but I mean, the code changes aren't that interesting, right? It's more about like all the testing, and I think that like enough testing has been done. So.
Yeah.
Is it the Australian government or is it or Austria? I don't know.
Number of people using Bosch that you don't realize are using Bosch grows by the week.
Okay, this one we already checked. So this is
Oh, this is the one I still have to do the work on. Yeah,
we discussed this already. Let's see. Kernels here, I think commented last week, but there is no update. Should we do something or wait another weekend then?
I think we should ping him in Slack.
Okay, I can do this.
This is Thomas, right? Ruben?
Maybe here
I
some.
believe so, yes.
Hmm?
We are in an we have this private Slack channel where well, not private Slack, but
DM.
DM where all these guys are in. So
Some action items we can add here. Okay, then we have new PRs. So it's most probably just an update. Yeah. So do we need to review or just march
We-
and see?
I kind of want to delete the numbers entirely. Just because we already have auto bumping, but auto bumping doesn't work. You pin all the versions. So all the old pinnings are mostly a mistake at this point. So yeah, maybe I'll add a review on this, asking them to just remove it.
So just get rid of the version here for GC.
Yeah, just let it float to the latest JSON so we don't have to, bump individual gems every couple of years when we realize that they're super out of date. The good news is it's not triggering any, we run a lot of CVE scanning, so it's not like there's vulnerabilities against it, but you might as well not have to worry about that. I'll add a review to it though.
Okay, should we ask in this PR? Let's ask in this PR.
A lot of these versions went back to the time when a lot of people were scared of any sort of change in any sort of release. So everything had to be very carefully thought about. And then just nobody ever thought about it, so nothing ever got bumped.
I will take out the reviews so that maybe I can just request changes. Okay, I need to leave a comment to the question. Okay, anyway, this is something good enough. With the comment, specify Ruby patch version.
Yeah. Ideally, this gets added to the auto bumping that we do.
What is this needed for?
Development, probably.
Yeah, most probably.
Like if you are using RVM or something, it will make sure that you use the right version if you are in this directory.
Most of them just use the latest that you have. If you say 3.2, which is not normally, they're in 3.2.2 and 3.2.1 isn't normally, oh, my Bosch doesn't work now, but yeah, you can probably add it to the auto bumping. Yeah, we definitely don't want to do this because this will probably break the world if it auto bumps to a 3.2.3 and then this is still 3.2.2.
yeah, we would definitely don't want to have patch levels.
Like if we want patch levels, then it needs to be automatically updated, right?
Yeah, but we cannot be sure because because of how we handle the containers. I think the containers are maybe has a different specific set of install Ruby. I don't know.
But this should just align with the release, right? The release brings its own Ruby.
Or you're talking, Ramon, about the like Docker images for tests and things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the integration, the integration Docker image.
We've had a lot of problems like that when we get too specific on these things.
Yeah, I would not do. I also don't. Why would it be? Why would be the patch level 2.2 be the one that only works and not the 3.2.1, for example? What is? I think this is only done because of that SSL fix that was in the in 3.2.2, but. Yeah, I would.
Is there anything in the conversation about the reasoning? Is it just for local fail without this value? So maybe just some feedback here, because I know our local environments, it doesn't fail. I think we're using, I have no idea what I'm using. Maybe Truby? Nobody knows these days what Ruby manager to use.
Yeah, I had
still use
also
the Ruby.
issues to execute the tests, and it was how you install Ruby. Yeah, there is this what Ramon mentioned, but I think I got it working also with 3.2 without that patch version.
You can add
Yeah.
me as a reviewer, and I'll try to figure out what my local dev does.
But it's a good point also to keep this in sync with what is actually required.
Is that otherwise? I don't think there's a greater than pointer within these Ruby, the Ruby.dot version, right?
Oh no, this is supposed.
And also that would be it would suck for patch levels, because then only would be like greater than patch.
Yeah.
We have been on this patch for the last 6 months, though.
It's okay.
So it will probably will be still quickly, probably.
Let me update here. And we have a new one regarding the flex. I thought that it makes sense maybe to document that behavior, because it's not obvious from the job properties how to use it or what to do with that tag flag option. It happened here. I was too fast. Okay, then issues. Oh.
I think Brian Cunny both added and deleted that. Maybe I was part of the deletion, and I was working with Brian Cunny and was like, what is this stuff? And he's like, yeah, this doesn't work. We should delete this. So Brian and I can comment on this. The
Mhm.
stem cell builder. Yeah. I didn't have a
Uh,
lot of context on it, but when I asked Brian about it, thought we should just delete it because it was an experiment of his that didn't work. I'll ask him about it this morning.
Okay. And this is about disabling the metadata service API versions v1 of AWS. It looks like we do not specify anything in the stem cell. And then
Didn't we do something with this,
what do you mean? we
Ruben?
do?
Yeah,
Idea?
I vaguely remember something.
Those letters and those numbers together are
Yes.
bringing up memories.
I don't
Was
know
it
if
in the
it's happy-
CPI?
I don't know.
You mean what we do with the metadata service or
Yeah, we started supporting V2, but it's like opt-in because we didn't want to break everybody or something.
It's like, yeah, we have a convert agent on AWS to use the V2 thing.
yeah,
With a pull request that did that. Oh, it was even by Joseph.
yeah,
I
it was
knew it sounded vaguely familiar. Where's that in the CPI?
I have here. There's a post pull request in the chat.
On the
okay.
agent.
I think it was 2 years 2 years maybe ago. Oh yeah, 3 years, even 3 years.
So the agent supports getting it from IMDS v2, but this person's asking for the stem cell.
Which is the agent, right? Is there anything else?
Well, the agent can read the data. I think when you create the VM, you get to say which version it uses, or you get to restrict it or something. I think you can use either.
Ah, I see.
And they might be asking for it to be restricted now or something, but
Yes, this is my understanding, to disable the v1 at all. That is,
I mean, now that stem cells support
Wow.
it, doesn't seem harmful.
so that this
Yeah,
is
so that would be a CPI thing then. Yeah, I mean, it's confusing because it's based on the light stem cell builder.
yeah.
But is it a thing that you like do on instance creation?
Yeah, during VM creation, it's mentioned during VM creation.
Yeah, maybe ask them if they could open it on the AWS CPI.
Yeah.
I found IMDS v2 in the CPI. It's in a to-do IMDS v2.
So that this is confused. So it don't configure anything during VM creation, and what versions can be used. And yeah.
Based on one of the commits, it seems to imply that the CPI already does it, but will fall back to v1 if the region doesn't support v2. But I don't know if that's true. Probably could use somebody to look at again. Hasn't been touched in a while.
Mhm. So Should I, so we will wait until it's moved to the CPI and then comment, or do you want to put more context here?
I think we can wait till it's moved.
Mhm.
Can we move it?
Can things even be moved?
I don't know.
I say moved. I meant like recreated, basically.
Copy link forward. Most probably not from here. I don't know from where.
Oh, wait, what was that on the bottom right?
Yeah, on the bottom there were things.
Transfer. Whoa.
Transfer. Look
What?
at that. Look at us being fancy.
Oh,
Wow.
I don't think I would have built that if I were them.
What?
oh, it's a
What's
process.
Eventual consistent?
Yes, we got it. Okay, then discussions.
Okay,
Assigning.
so now that it has been transferred, what do we do now?
I was kind of hoping to get more time.
So with that out of the way,
So we don't have a lot balancing here.
Who is not in the call today? We can assign him.
Benjamin.
Yeah, sounds good. Never
There's
mind.
another commit from Joseph, something related to handle an edge case.
Oh,
And a
There
commit
was-
from Constantine too. That doesn't fully make sense to me. Because it adds like an IMDS v2 like instance variable. And then it just doesn't seem to ever be used. It might have been an intermediate commit. I guess Rajan and Julian were part of it too.
yeah, okay.
But this is probably also about the CPI using it to, like, the CPI can work with instance profiles to authenticate, right? So it is using it itself to do the authentication.
I can't
Or
follow.
instance identity or whatever. I don't know what it's called.
But that's just you just get that. Like
Yeah, but
If
you
you-
can't use one or the other API, right? You can use V1 or V2 for that.
oh,
So I'm wondering if
Maybe.
the commits related to this are about the authentication part. So if you have a Bosch director deployed on AWS and you have no credentials, but just an instance profile for authentication.
Mhm.
oh, this commit from Constantine seems I like it a lot. Because it says this allows users to disable IMDS v1 and force v2, and it requires stem cells that support it already, which is the agent stuff. So it kind of seems like we already did this, but maybe not for the CPI interactions.
Yeah, the only thing that's probably going to be annoying is for the still currently supported Xenial stem cells. I don't know if
But
those are
how-
updated or.
We opt in.
But CPI does not interact with the data metadata service. It just provides the data during VM creation. Oh, Let
Allow
me-
metadata options to be set in the CPI config. That's it. Why is there no documentation?
That was part of the to do.
Nice.
We'll let
I mean, we can leave a link to that one commit.
I
and
did,
then
yeah.
say,
Oh,
like,
it's already
seems-
there.
it
Can
seems to
we-
be working. If it works, we're looking forward to reviewing a PR, adding documentation for it, right? Like, I think that's the.
Yeah, let me then ask.
Must he be thinking like my issue, and I'll get 4 responses within 5 minutes? Different people. What's happening?
Yeah, it doesn't look like we documented it on Bosch.io at least, because it's like a confusing set of stuff. It's like metadata options, HTTP token required is like the magic incantation.
Okay. It's in pending discussion. We were very active on it. Are there any other? So I think the last was on 18th of January, so there are no issues, other recent issues. Is there anything else you want to discuss?
Go ahead.
Yeah, can I go ahead? Okay. Yeah, we were just deploying a Bosch director on our CCE environment, which is an OpenStack environment, and we were running the Bosch acceptance tests and found that after these tests are done, that we have some leftover volumes. And we just want to check if that is the default behavior or if all these volumes should be gone, because all VMs and other resources were deleted, but just not the volumes. So I just want to check if that is,
But there
what should
is
happen.
the configuration of the director to keep the volumes for a certain time and then delete them.
The
Yeah,
bats, the
it's
bats
5
normally
days.
when they run do a full cleanup at the end so I think bats, if I'm remembering right,
Yeah.
are the ones that deploy a number of directors, and like each time after it deploys one, it does like a like
clean
delete
up
all the
all-
deployments, clean up dash all. Yeah, so if it's leaking stuff, then there must be at least
Must
one
be
of
an
the
issue.
tests. Yeah.
Mm. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Then we can check the tests again.
Which version of OpenStack are you using?
That I don't know.
It's important information. Like, we use something old.
The one which works.
Try using an older one.
Define works.
But I mean, bats are pretty generic, so I would assume if they're leaking there, they'd be leaking in other spots too.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Should be reproducible also on AWS.
We have a number of concourse pipelines that just delete loose volumes in our test environments. So it would be better if we stopped making them. But also, like, sometimes you can't, because sometimes concourse just dies in the middle of the run, and like you're not gonna clean those up. But yeah, it'd be better if in the happy path case it doesn't leak them.
Yeah, then we will check the tests again, and otherwise have a job that cleans it up, something like that. Thanks.
Anything else?
No, but the boss director CI, but see it. I saw Joseph were restarted the Brads yesterday.
Yeah, there was fallout from the changes. So Docker updated itself in our Docker images. The Docker inside of our Docker images updated itself, and it broke with the Docker CPI, which a lot of the Bosch tests use. Docker was no longer happy when you gave it a CIDR. If like you're doing a /16, if the third component of the IP is like there, it was like .3.0/16, and Docker used to be fine creating a network to this because everybody sort of ignores the segments that don't matter. And it started blowing up with the latest versions of Docker. So we updated the Bosch Go CPI, which then we bumped into Docker, and then it broke some more stuff. So we had to fix that yesterday. It was basically, there was tests that were some old tests that were asserting that if you enable signed URLs, it doesn't actually update the VMs directly. Like it doesn't roll all the VMs if you switch the Bosch from not signed to signed. And then Docker was looking at the blob store properties to make sure that the VMs hadn't been updated, but then the new version of the CPI doesn't actually put the old blob store properties there. So the test was just always failing. So we removed that test from the directory because it was looking at the old blob store properties. It was looking at both the old and the new. So now it just only looks at the new ones because the old ones don't get set anymore in a lot of cases.
Okay. Yeah, I still see it's failing, but
Might be something else related, or it might just be flaky.
yeah, we have a lot of flaky stuff
Director
happening in our CI.
We have a director scheduler orphan VMs cleans up VMs. Expected 6, got 8. So there were some more instances than expected. That's one
But
of the
is the director CI now moved to the community pipeline? Or is the
It's moved. It's got a large-ish number of flakes in it still, which I think is just because we had like 8 workers of the size that we currently have, and this concourse has 2 large workers. And when like the 3 integration tests run at the same time, it sometimes will flake on one or more of them, I think, just due to resource contention. But the test shouldn't need a lot of resources, so it's possible an opportunity to make the test more resilient to timing issues that maybe they're just making assumptions on.
Yeah, I see. So on the next Ubuntu LTS release version, I started the discussions like we discussed last time or the time before internally to at least for us to define the priority and whether we can spend resources. And I also asked the BuildPack team what is their so what is on their side, their plan to provide a stack based on that. So they will discuss this. Also, we mentioned this in the TOC meeting last week.
Was there any negative response to the TOC or?
No,
No,
people
okay.
seem to be fine with that. To have.
I think stem cell is fine. We also had some internal discussions, and there was like some desire to maybe do some unification with Paqueta. Like maybe we instead of starting to build another Linux FS5 or something, that we maybe look at adopting one of the Paqueta base OS images things that they publish. But I don't know, that's like something to consider.
Mm-hmm. This was also discussed in the ARI working group meeting, I think mentioned. I looked into the meeting notes. Yeah, makes sense. I think the Paqueta full stack is really close to the what we have in the CF CF Linux FS4.
Yeah, but we could even look at maybe an even smaller stack right? But like, because we have more overlap, like if we do this now, right, we will have more overlap of support. So we could maybe
Yes.
look at even a bigger like reduction in the footprint of the, and then mostly like CVE wise, right? It's maybe better to bring less dependencies. So I think that
Yeah.
like would be a good opportunity.
Do
Yeah.
those Paketo stacks have a defined like support lifecycle? Like they keep them around as long as Ubuntu's providing support?
Yeah, I think it's similar, but I mean they are part of our foundation as well.
Oh, right.
We could probably
Force them.
force them, create an RFC or something. I don't know. There's a lot of overlap between the groups, so should be fine.
So there is still discussions going on, and I think at some point we can start with an RFC when we have more clarity. Okay. There is nothing else. We are done for today.
Okay,
Thank
cool.
you.
See you next week.
Take care.
Thank you. See you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.